Morning, the NBA asking for an investigation into the Phoenix Suns after a report alleges a history of racist, misogynistic, and hostile incidents from owner Robert Sarver. Sarver has owned the Suns since 2004. He's now accused of making lewd comments in all staff meetings using racially insensitive language and implying that Suns employees are his property. One specific accusation by former Suns coach Earl Watson alleges Sarver used the N-word multiple times. Sarver denies ever using the N-word and denies most of the allegations in this report. He's asked for an impartial investigation. The NBA has responded by hiring a law firm to look over the matter. So joining us right now, Bill Michaels, host of The Bill Michaels Show, one of the most well-known voices in sports here in the Midwest. But everybody's talking about this across the country, Bill. According to ESPN, more than 70 employees say that Sarver created a, quote, toxic and sometimes hostile workplace. But there are other employees who have defended him. That's not surprising at all. 70 employees, though, with the same story or similar stories, that's quite the corroboration. So what will be the next steps here?
Well, first and foremost, it's unbelievable in today's day and age that this is even thought of, because we've already been through the Donald Sterling issues, even though they're somewhat apples to oranges. But the next process would be for Adam Silver to impanel an impartial investigator or investigating team through the NBA to go in and begin looking at this. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of the documentation via ESPN, what you've already read, and then you're going to start interviewing employees along the way, just as ESPN has. And I'm sure they have a roadmap from point A to point B on who to talk to. And, you know, in this particular case, where there's smoke, there's fire. Usually you can have one lone wolf crying into the wind. But in this particular case, you've got a lot of people saying pretty much the same thing and giving you the same circumstance. So what the NBA is going to have to decide as to whether or not he even should be a part of an organization in the NBA anymore. Most likely he'll be forced to sell his franchise share. And then there'll be a cleansing. There'll be a wholesale cleansing in Phoenix. And then, you know what, this also forces every other organization to look at themselves all over again to say, what are we doing within our own environment that could or could not be creating a hostile environment? And do we have these problems, even if it's not with an owner, is it below the surface somewhere? So this also forces a lot of other organizations to look at themselves.
Well, I'm thinking about the people who are defending him. And again, we don't have any actual evidence. We don't have video or audio recordings of him saying or doing any of these things, right?
Right. No, as far as we know. You know, now in a case like this, things begin to surface after a while, so we'll wait and see. But you're right. When people begin to defend an owner, they could be doing it in a couple of different facets. One is, what if this owner stays and they need to protect their job? That could be one. Or they're good friends, or they have friends of friends within the organization that they're trying to kind of bond together to kind of keep things as a status quo. Or maybe they're afraid of losing their own job because they were partaking in some of these incidents. So there's many different reasons why people do something, or maybe they just genuinely like the guy, and that's a possibility as well. But again, when you have this many people giving you an outcry, you have to look into it, have to take it serious. And 99% of the time, you got to rid yourself of what is believed to be a toxic situation.
But again, he has denied allegations that he is a racist or a misogynist or sexist. And the fact of the matter is, until there's evidence, really, you know, he may not be charged with anything, but this is really bad PR for the NBA.
It's terrible PR for the NBA. And what they're going to look for is two different people in two different circumstances, but with the same story, that were at the same place at the same time. And you're going to try to keep everybody apart at this point. Now, I'm sure everybody in the organization is talking about this, but what they're going to try to do is find two independent people from different segments that are going to say, yeah, I was there, I saw this as well, that have two different agendas, where they're just trying to tell you the truth. That's how you try to piece these things together.
All right, Bill, thank you so much for being with us again. We
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.